Alright, so what we've got here is we've got some ceiling paint. Well, I've chosen trade quality. I feel it goes on fine, saves you some money in your ceilings. You don't normally get up touching your ceilings. You don't need the deer stuff. The deer is the ceiling paint. Generally, the more shine it's got, the more shine you get, the more defects you see across it to any light source. Okay, so we're going to rip the lid off this. The boys have used this, but because it was a while ago, we're going to stir it up again. So I'm using a plunge stirrer. Very easy to use. Just get it steady. You lift it up, pull it through the paint. We get quick, and we really work it. But if you go too quick, you'll hear that paint will fly up all over you. So you don't want to be doing that. So you just want to be mixing that through. That's fine. I know the guys have done it earlier. If it's in the colour, give it a bit more. Always give it a bit more. You can never mix it too much. Okay, we had a brush that we were using earlier. So we wipe off the stick as best you can. You don't want to leave too much paint on things when you're wiping out trays and pots, because what will happen is when you go to use it in the morning, it won't be dry to reuse, or you go to mix the wall colour and you won't be able to use the same stick. Okay. Now just remember, even though you've wiped it, it's still wet. Put it on something that's not going to damage your floor. So we've got our pot ready, and our tray ready. When you're pouring paint, I've had an apprentice which is now a tradesman, and he always had trouble pouring paint. Be decisive with it, especially out of big containers. Do your tray first, because you can get a little bit out the top of it, which makes it very easy to pour. We wipe it off each time, brushing one hand, drumming the other, and we pour again. Now in the bottom of your pot, don't overfill it. You probably want, what, 2 inches, 50 mil in the bottom, so it comes up your brush nicely. So what we want to do, sit that in there. I've got my tray pretty full because I'm going to use a full tray on the ceiling or thereabouts. Work your roller into your paint. Got it sitting there nicely. You pull back the paint and you work it back forward and get rid of it. So you've got your roller is nicely worked up with paint. So it can sit there now. You know it's not going to go hard anytime soon. Don't obviously leave it in the sun or the wind. And just put that in the middle of your room so far. Out the room. Now that was hard to lift. If I had to use the handles properly, it would be right. Always remember to put the lid straight back on your paint. Otherwise you're going to be straining your paint more and more and more. Tap the lid down. Always tap your lids back on. The reason I say this, someone bumps that drum, it's not going to end up on your carpet. So you don't want that to happen. So I've now got my pot ready. I'm ready to go. Now remember, we're going to use one side as a pot only to wipe our brush out on, and the other side's going to stay nice and dry, so when we sit the brush in there you're going to have nice clean hands when you pick it up. Otherwise, I'll just show you this. When you sit it back the other way and it runs around there, we start to get paint on our handle. The next thing you got paint on your hands. Once you get paint on your hands, it goes everywhere. It's terrible. I'll wipe that clean. Then we wipe off on this side, and we're going to sit our brush up again. Very important. Little things like this will stop you putting paint everywhere around your house. You don't want that, because the other half is not going to be happy. Alright, well, I'll stand up guys and I'll show you how to cut in.